Do you know the history of Martin Luther King Jr.? A man who was silenced but his legacy still lives on. A man who chose to die for his people, certainly. Let's delve deeper into the life and legacy of Martin Luther King Jr. Martin Luther King Jr. was born into a segregated America on January 15, 1929, in Atlanta, Georgia. His birth name was Michael King Jr., but his father, also named Michael King, later changed both of their names to Martin Luther in honor of the German Protestant reformer. Growing up in the racially divided South, King experienced firsthand the injustices of segregation and discrimination. King's upbringing was deeply rooted in the African American church tradition. His father, Reverend Martin Luther King Sr., was a Baptist minister, and his mother, Alberta Williams King, was a talented organist and choir leader. From a young age, King was immersed in the teachings of Christianity and the principles of love, justice, and equality. After graduating from high school at the age of 15, King attended Morehouse College, a historically black college in Atlanta. It was during his time at Morehouse that he became increasingly aware of the systemic racism and inequality faced by African Americans. He was particularly influenced by the writings of Henry David Thoreau and Mohandas Gandhi, which introduced him to the concept of nonviolent resistance as a means of social change. After completing his undergraduate studies, King enrolled in Crozer Theological Seminary in Pennsylvania, where he continued to deepen his understanding of theology and philosophy. He was exposed to the works of theologians such as Reinhold Niebuhr and Walter Rauschenbusch, whose ideas of social justice and the kingdom of God resonated deeply with him. In 1951, King began doctoral studies in systematic theology at Boston University. It was during this time that he met and married Coretta Scott, a talented singer and activist in her own right. Coretta would become a steadfast partner and supporter of King throughout his life and career. King's involvement in the civil rights movement gained national prominence in 1955 when he was chosen to lead the Montgomery bus boycott in Alabama. The boycott was sparked by the arrest of Rosa Parks, who refused to give up her seat to a white passenger on a segregated bus. King's leadership and eloquence during the boycott catapulted him to the forefront of the struggle for civil rights. Over the next decade, King became the face of the civil rights movement, advocating for desegregation, voting rights, and economic justice for African Americans. He was instrumental in organizing and leading nonviolent protests, marches, and demonstrations across the South. One of the most significant moments in King's activism came in 1963 with the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom. It was there, in front of a crowd of more than 250,000 people, that King delivered his iconic, "I Have a Dream" speech. In this speech, King articulated his vision of a future where people would be judged not by the color of their skin but by the content of their character. Despite his commitment to nonviolence, King faced intense opposition and violence from those who opposed desegregation and racial equality. He was arrested numerous times, his home was bombed, and he received countless death threats. Through it all, King remained steadfast in his belief that love and nonviolence were the most powerful weapons in the struggle for justice. In 1964, King was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for his tireless efforts to combat racial inequality through nonviolent means. At the age of 35, he was the youngest person ever to receive the prestigious award. In the years following his Nobel Prize, King continued to advocate for civil rights and social justice. He expanded his focus to include issues such as poverty, war, and economic inequality. He spoke out against the Vietnam War, calling it a tragic and unnecessary conflict that diverted resources from addressing poverty and social injustice at home. Tragically, on April 4, 1968, Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated while standing on the balcony of the Lorraine Motel in Memphis, Tennessee. His death sent shockwaves across the nation and sparked riots in cities across America. In the years since his death, King's legacy has only grown stronger. His words and teachings continue to inspire millions of people around the world to fight for justice, equality, and peace. His birthday, January 15, is celebrated as a federal holiday in the United States, and his message of love, nonviolence, and solidarity remains as relevant today as it was during his lifetime. He fought for many, but a few took his life. May you continue resting in peace, King. If you love history, kindly subscribe, like, share and comment. Until next time, take care.